I kind of, having had some really beautiful moments there at Earthdance and in Italy at Nomadic College, what you're just describing of like almost like the roots of ballet sounds kind of like Nomadic College, of really just enjoying each other's company while moving and dancing. And um, there, my experience is there's a underlying incredible sense of just generosity and kindness, and it doesn't feel like compulsion to move a particular way. I feel like there's a strong community element, and that's why I kept coming back.
Yes, all bodies welcome, and at least that's my ethic. All ages and all relative abilities. I mean, of course, there are limitations, at either extreme.
Mm-hmm.
But trying to dampen the tendency to compete, which I think is an aspect of formalism that is also deleterious. So if you have a formal standard, then that means you have an evaluative standard to measure people by. But of course, that's just arbitrary. Now, if you're communicating principles to people rather than form, then each person's development is an internal conversation, rather than a dictate. So yes, I think that's the generosity you feel is the space for that, but it's by design.
So can you talk a little bit more about, again, for people that don't know what Nomadic College might look like, how that expresses the Axis syllabus in terms of its transmission? And
right, the Nomadic College is supposed to be the the most, let's say, the Nomadic College is the place where the Axis syllabus is presented or offered in its most coherent form.
mm-hmm.
Because otherwise people are traveling all over the world, and they have punctual workshops here and there, and that's a chance for teachers to get together and to work as a team, right? To swap ideas, to inspire each other, and then to see what the effects are of what they're working on. It's a sort of laboratory, I guess you would call it. The college is, the idea of a college is a place of learning and a place of study, which is a distinction. There's festivals, and then there's places to learn. So a festival, of course, you'll have lots of jams, lots of parties, and the classes are more about entertaining rather than learning something. So the Nomadic College is really dedicated to, it's a focused moment for study. There's usually an arc. The beginning is we start with theory, so there's less intense and more internal somatic inquest, and then as it goes along, there's the offer to start to work with more sophisticated physical material and longer phrases, and to start thinking about how we relate to the environment, such as music or the setting in which we're working. And then there's a conference or two, and then there's a performance or two. That's usually where the participants are invited to present something that they're working on in an informal way, so that they get a chance to share something from their work. But there is an attempt to try to keep the schedule minimal, mm-hmm. so that there's downtime and off time, and that allows people to either rest or to propose alternate classes, so that they can organize to teach something that they're working on if they like, or they can observe class. And this is also important to say that at the Nomadic College there shouldn't be any parallel classes,
right,
or levels, right? Because class levels are also always relative to a form, right? So if we say a level 1 and level 2, we're talking about the execution of XYZ movement or the absorption rate for sequences, and these are really arbitrary measures for competence.
Right.
So the Nomadic College, there's an intensity arc that should start the more theoretical and inquest level and go towards more athletic demand, and then at the end to coast down into something more reflective, and then there's usually a creative moment with a performance.
Okay. Can you share a little bit about the classes that you'll be teaching and also the lab that will be ongoing through the 2 weeks?
This year we're trying something different, which is a 1-hour sequence in the morning to gradually jostle the body out of sleep and into gently prepare it for the day's demands. So you can probably see that on the website. But in any case, the first class that I'll be teaching is focusing on oscillation. Oscillation as a way to micro stretch. So without putting too much tensional stress on muscles. So rather than attempting to change their resting length through some kind of either static or dynamic violence, to send information through the whole system through jiggling and wiggling, and use that as a way to heighten the sensation of the angles that the body's regions are taking, but also the information that's coming from the periphery to the center and back. So it's a way of raising the awareness of interoception and proprioception as a pretext for making decisions, but also understanding the decisions that the body's making, and beginning to be able to collate, work with, note, and then interact.
So that's week 1, your class?
That's week 1. And week 2, I'll be teaching. I'll be focusing on vectors. A vector is a direction, a speed, and a destination. So it's that equation. And the idea is that once having taken a look at what's going on within the body and with its dimensions and structure, that we now start to choose destinations and decide how we want to go there, how fast we want to go there, or note how fast we are going there, or with what part of our bodies we're going where. And that's a mapping of the space or immediately around us, our kinesphere, but also then onward to other bodies and the space that we inhabit, such as the room, or whether it's outdoors.
Okay, cool.
So directionality is for me a lot about societal ethics, because directionality gives us it's a way of it's a prediction aid for helping us to understand the time to intercept, the time to impact. So when we're moving through public spaces, or when we're in a dance, so for example, a contact jam, understanding the direction that our body is taking and the people who are in our immediate vicinity, or whether we're actually physically interacting with somebody, being lifted or lifting or circling around other people. An intimate understanding and an educated understanding of vectors is, I think, a responsibility, because we can mitigate danger We can run risks responsibly.
Mhm.
We can understand the amount of momentum that we are accruing, right? How much force we are developing or generating, and how to use it responsibly, how to use it productively rather than destructively.
That could be useful at a jam.
Absolutely, yeah. But also walking down a busy street,
Yes.
or driving a car. Sometimes I watch people, like noting when people are driving and they seem to not understand the amount of force that
Mm.
that they have in the vehicle. Maybe they're spending too much time on the computer, and they only have a sense of the world as something virtual, but maybe not moving their bodies enough
Mm.
to develop an awareness of the amount of force that their body is generating as they move, and so that they could have more sensitivity to the volume and the potential impact.
I know we've talked about this before. I've traveled in many places, and I've stayed with you guys a couple times when you used to live in Berlin. And I don't know why, but Berlin, people are so good at walking. I've never been to a city where people are so aware of this people around them and being able to kind of calculate vectors, as you're saying, which I don't know if it's because the bike paths are on the sidewalk as well, and you have to navigate bikes, but it's one of the things I track definitely. And so, I mean, I just love the.
Move into Amsterdam.
I have not. Is it similar?
Amsterdam is similar, except the streets are much narrower, but you have tramways and cars and bicycles and people walking. And it's intense, but it's true that people learn to navigate well.
Because they have to. Yeah. And can you talk about the lab a little bit that you guys are going to be offering throughout the 2 weeks? Is that what we're calling it?
This is open mentoring, an
Mentoring.
open space, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
But the idea is to have a room where there's literature, where there's toys to play with, such as tensegrity structures and clay to work with to model, or drawing materials, and also open space to be able to do physical practice, and then one of the teachers on hand at all times to ask questions or work with. And this is something new we're trying.
And so
the idea is that anybody could go there, even somebody who's not taking class, to read, to rest, to discuss things with each other, or the teacher on hand, to try things and to focus on details, or work things out that they've been struggling with.
I mean, it sounds like a way to digest, because I mean, Nomadic College used to be 4 weeks. I remember, like, 4 weeks, it's a lot of material to take in, but I appreciate that idea of having a separate space, like you said, with clay or with drawing, or different ways, different mediums through which to process the information, integrate it. And that'll be upstairs in Studio 3 at Earthdance, right? In the farmhouse, is what we agreed?
I thought it was in the barn.
You're right. I'm sorry, because it's only one class going on. Okay.
Yes, right. There's only one class, which would be in the round room.
Yep. Okay. Cool. I think last question. I mean, you've done a lot of these. What are you looking forward to around this particular one, working with Claire and Nuria and being at Earthdance again?
Claire's recently certified, and but extremely competent. She's been practicing a martial art.
She's merging her martial arts.
She's merging them. Okay.
With Nomadic College. Or sorry, that's
but anyway, she's a very sunny person, very positive, and beautiful mover. Very inquisitive, and I think I've never seen her teach in this context. I've seen her classes, a few classes, so I'm excited to see what she's going to do here. And Nuria is a longtime colleague, extremely competent mover. She's a capoeirista, She's a teacher of it. She's considered a master teacher in capoeira. She's been with us for a long time. And so she's also an excellent body worker. She's somebody that I go to, when I can, to sort out the kinks, and she's got a really sensitive touch and an intimate, deep awareness of the body that she's also a very strong leader. So working with them is it's also a way to collaborate more deeply, more intensely. And, with the last few years, this international crisis has limited the amount of times that we have to get together and practice together, which is unfortunate. I think that's also a reason why I think there's been less communication, less chances to work out disagreements or come to agreement about how to proceed. So I'm hoping to reestablish communications and to maybe go over some of the differences that have come up in the last few years about how to operate, but also share some newer research that I've been looking at and see what they've been doing. So as we're teaching class, we'll also find time to have a few teachers meetings to talk about what we're working on, and also maybe to show each other some things that we've been looking at. So I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome. Well, I know, it's been a while since you've been back to Earthdance, and we were shut down. So we just kind of really opened our doors again in the fall. So really excited to have Nuria back, to see you all, and to reconnect Earthdance with this body of work. First 2 weeks of October, we'll post links, and registration opens July 4th, and spots are limited. So yeah, looking forward to seeing you again, to doing this all again.
Me too.
Okay, thanks, Frey.